Huyang City, in the City Lord Mansion, inside the quiet room of the Star Tower underground. Two Luo Fengs were sat cross-legged. One was a perfect divine body and the other was a world life form. For after such a long time, Luo Feng's perfect divine body had long recovered to a perfect state by absorbing energy with the help of his miniature universe. The energy reserves of the world life form had also reached 60% of the perfect divine body. Blood Shadow Blade. The perfect divine body of Luo Feng, holding the Blood Shadow Blade. There were secret patterns emerging on the surface of the Blood Shadow Blade, containing an endless destructive aura. I have now comprehended a total of 3 of the Chaos Hole's 6 strikes. All 3 secret techniques have been incorporated into the Blood Shadow Blade. Luo Feng looked at the Blood Shadow Blade. The Blood Shadow Blade is a killing weapon after all. It was conceived with the path of destruction at its core. In terms of killing, the path of destruction definitely surpassed the path of life. The Great Tao of Life and Death, which was a fusion of the 2 Great Taos, was even more terrifying. But without a clear guide to the Great Tao, the progress was too slow. Luo Feng had comprehended more than 10 secret methods of the God King level of the Life and Death Great Tao, but he hadn't comprehended a single branch of the Great Tao, so he could see how difficult it was to open up the path. It was predictable. It would be much easier to comprehend the complete Tao of destruction than the complete Tao of life and destruction. The Blood Shadow Blade was naturally more suitable for carrying the Great Tao of destruction. After imprinting this secret method, holding the Blood Shadow Blade, a slight stimulation will allow you to perform 3 of the Chaos Hole's 6 strikes. Luo Feng looked at the Blood Shadow Blade. The requirement for spiritual will is much lower. The advantage of a self-embryo weapon is here. It was perfectly suited to oneself. The burden on the mind to perform the moves was significantly lower. As such, when fighting, the spiritual will could perform many other moves. Over a tenth of my world life form, holding the Blood Shadow Blade, can execute the Chaos Hole's 6 strikes. It's estimated that the power is straight up and can par with Brother Gue Su and Brother Xin and the rest of them. Luo Feng was very clear. With the many clones, he was able to deal with Tian Kuan Kingdom Lord. Some emperors and monarchs of the 2 ancient kingdoms could still tolerate it. If he were to reach the level of Emperor Gue Su, Wu Xin God King, and their level at the first level of the God King, it would be hard to say what those emperors and monarchs would have in mind. Things will be much better when I'm even stronger and completely fearless of any of the strong man in the Origin Continent. There was a clear direction for Luo Feng to reach the Origin Continent without fear of any of the strong man under the guidance of a few special inheritances. Multiple directions ran in parallel. The improvement of the Great Tao is a fundamental, but it needs to be taken one step at a time. There's no rush. Instead, my spiritual will has long since reached a bottleneck. I can try to break through to the Beyond God King level at the first level God King of spiritual will. Luo Feng had this plan. In this era on the Origin Continent, those 3 people whose spiritual will had reached the Beyond God King level, Emperor Qing and the Lord of 10,000 Worlds, both had their spiritual will break through after comprehending the complete Great Tao. Emperor Ming, who was at the 2nd level of the God King, had a spiritual will that surpassed the God King level. As for himself, as a perfect divine body, his soul foundation was beyond contemporary, much thicker than even Emperor Ming. With an even deeper foundation, and with the Lai Yuan technique, passed down by Yuan, Luo Feng asked himself that the first level could try to make an impact breakthrough. Among the treasure land of Yuan left behind, the dream domain is the most suitable for the Great Destruction Heart Refining method. Luo Feng was interested in the treasure land dream domain. He bring 1/10 of the world life form energy reserve this time. Luo Feng's mind moved. The huge world life form then immediately divided 1/10 of the energy reserve and transformed into a silver-clothed Luo Feng figure. With this much energy reserve, it was enough for Luo Feng to split into numerous clones. After entering the dream domain this time, I can also root myself in the dream domain and use the environment of dream domain to cultivate the Great Destruction Heart Refining method. Luo Feng was quite looking forward to it. The treasure land left behind by Yuan was divided into many kinds. Like the Heavenly River, it was especially suitable for water attribute chaotic origin bloodline cultivators. But Luo Feng wasn't interested at all. The dream domain is mysterious and wonderful, breeding thousands of various vowable strange treasures, and on the deeper part of the dream domain, it has a greater the impact on the mind. Even if you mistakenly enter too deep, it is possible to fall into a deep sleep, like in the middle of a sleep, you may never wake up. Luo Feng, however, like this environment, the towering mountain, Huangyao Mountain, that was trillions of kilometers high, The convener of this operation, Emperor Gui Su, had arrived long ago. Wearing in green armor and with a pale face, Emperor Gui Su stood at the top of Huangyao Mountain and waited. Big Brother Gui Su. A woman dressed in black, Yun Tian God King, arrived. The members of the reincarnation building would hide their breath and change their appearance when they acted. Yun Tian God King's breath was now restrained and ordinary. The two of them have also arrived. Emperor Gui Su looked into the distance. Two figures arrived one after the other. One was a tall, thin figure wearing a mask. Luo Feng has disguised as black-scaled and golden-horned figure. Is this Brother Luo he? Emperor Gui Su, Yun Tian God King, Wu Xian God King, they all laughed as they looked at Luo Feng's disguised appearance. The three of them were familiar with each other, but it was the first time they had seen Luo Feng's disguised appearance. How does it feel? Luo Feng laughed. His disguise borrowed some of the features of the golden-horned beast. It's indeed very different from normal. Wu Xian God King exclaimed from the side. Your previous physical body, Brother Luo he, had an extremely strong breath of life. Whereas now this physical body contains a destructive aura, Luo Feng secretly said. With his ability of invisible and formless, naturally he could change as much as he wanted. Origin Continent. There are more that specialize in Great Tao of Destruction. Emperor Gui Su also nodded. There are also several that have a split body technique. The Supreme Rule Measure only had a total of 9 Origin Great Taos, and each Origin Great Tao had some God Kings practicing it. But there was a difference between how many and how few. The Great Tao of Time Origin had the rarest number of God Kings practicing it, followed by 3 Great Taos like Karma, Extreme, and Infinity, which were more difficult to get started with and had fewer practicing God Kings. Space, Matter, World, Life, and Destruction were relatively easy to start, and there were more God Kings practicing them. But in terms of cultivating the largest number, it is undoubtedly the Great Tao of Destruction Origin. After all, during the process of growth, killing and destroying means would be studied by anyone. Wu Xian, it's still troublesome for you to lead us in, Emperor Gui Su said. Okay, Wu Xian God King responded. There was an invisible force that instantly enveloped the four present. It felt like the energy flowed. Luo Feng and the four of them were perfectly integrated into the operation of the laws of heaven and earth. This, Luo Feng was somewhat shocked. They were clearly right where they were, but the light, spatial fluctuations, and breath sensing all ignored them. Even karma was blurred. All the prying methods of the laws of operation of heaven and earth were being blurred. It's no wonder that even when the Yinfeng ancient country surrounded Wu Xian God King several times, and even sent out emperors to surround him, they were not able to stop him escaping. In the end, it was still his initiative to reincarnate. Luo Feng realized how terrifying this escape technique was. Let's go. Wu Xian God King blinked at Luo Feng and showed off his escape technique. Whoosh! The four of them instantly flew between heaven and earth, and in a trance, they had already crossed half of the origin continent. Ahead is the entrance to the dream domain. Wu Xian God King looked ahead. Ahead was a dark canyon that was so black and deep that it swallowed all light, swallowed all perception, and it was difficult for a God King to peek inside. The entrance to the dream realm is strangely constructed, and it is impossible to set up a stabilizing grand formation. Wu Xian God King smiled and explained, but the two great ancient kingdoms sent their God Kings to cooperate in shrouding the entrance with a moving grand formation. Luo Feng was the only one present who hadn't been inside. The Wu Xian God King was obviously explaining with Luo Feng. I'll try to enter from one spot later. There is a high probability that they will not be able to find me. If they are discovered, we will have to take action. Wu Xian God King grinned. Wu Xian and I can do it, Emperor Gui Su said. Luo Feng and the four of them immediately flew into this dark canyon. The moment they flew in, Luo Feng felt an invisible force dragging his spiritual will. Only with Luo Feng's strength of will, he naturally resisted it easily. This was a dark world. The world was floating and distorting. There were invisible vast formations affecting this area. This vast area at the entrance of the dream domain is all occupied by the two great ancient countries, and they are teaming up and use this to block the entrance as well. Wu Xian God King said. The speed of his escape was also relatively slow, trying not to cause perceptions. The two formations of their two ancient kingdoms also cooperate with each other, intercepting all entrance. Luo Feng secretly lamented. The dream domain, when Yuan left behind, didn't set any thresholds. Instead, it led to an extremely high difficulty to enter. Luo Feng saw at a glance that there was a towering white figure sitting cross-legged in the distance. That figure had a vast aura. It was even the node of a gigantic formation. Crossing paths with him would cause the entire formation to recoil. It's the royal family of the Thunder Ancient Kingdom. Wu Exine God King glanced over. It seems like this area is being blockaded by the Thunder Ancient Kingdom. He's guarding a rare treasure. Yun Tian God King transmitted his voice. Luo Feng also saw it. In front of the towering white figure sitting cross-legged, a black fruit tree was growing. There were a full 666 fruits on the fruit tree. It was obvious that it hadn't fully matured yet. The rare treasures in the entrance area of the Dream Domain are all owned by the two ancient kingdoms. There's no need to fight with them here. Let's go to the depths. The deeper we go, the better the treasures will be, Wu Exine God King said. The Thunder Ancient Country formation, the formation was restrained, but the Wu Exine God King still didn't dare to be careless. After flying for a long time, there was a golden chain across the void, enveloping the vast area, carefully blocking and probing every place. Now entering the area covered by the Yinfeng Ancient Country formation, Wu Exine God King was familiar with it. Normally, the two ancient kingdoms fight hard, but blocking the entrance to the Dream Domain, they are directly joining forces. They are too greedy. Emperor Gue Su also said, it forces the idol god kings to stick together. Luo Feng nodded. A complete blockade, not a single chance given. If Luo Feng acted alone, he wouldn't be able to break through the two major formations in front and behind the two ancient kingdoms. Of course, this time, the four-member of the Samsara building acted, but they were flying all the way to two major formations, including the few royal god kings they happened to meet were all unnoticed. Because of the relatively slow speed of flying away, it lasted a full half a day before they completely flew out of this vast area at the entrance of the Dream Domain. Flying out of the range of their formation, Wu Exine God King hemmed and hawed. How about that? So what if the two great ancient kingdoms can't even detect my escape method? Awesome! Luo Feng marveled. Brother Wu Exine's escape is the most powerful I've ever seen. Yun Tian God King also praised. Haha. Wu Exine God King laughed happily. Luo Feng was lucky enough to have peeked into the entire Supreme Rules operation, so he could better understand the awesomeness of this escape technique of Wu Exine God King. This escape technique like he was escaping into the entire Supreme Rules operation. This escape technique of Wu Exine is the ultimate realm secret technique, hidden sky escape technique, da. Emperor Gue Su said, in the entire Origin continent, there aren't many escape techniques that can catch up to Wu Exine. Luo Feng was amazed. It was extremely difficult to comprehend an ultimate realm secret technique with the second-level God King. Of course, like Master Emperor Chu also did it. Master was the one who had to comprehend the ultimate realm life form, secret method. After comprehend it, and then using many precious treasures, one could then practice to become an ultimate realm life form. Next, we'll enter the middle layer of the Dream Domain first. After that, we'll need to rely to Brother Luo He ability to help explore the way. Emperor Gue Su looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng nodded and make his move.